Hot take. Hot take. Do you stop knitting when you have everything that you've knit that you want to knit? Or do you keep knitting because of the act of knitting? Hello, I'm Natalie, and welcome back. This is my channel knitalee, where I talk about all of my creative endeavors. I'm currently hyperfixated on knitting, but I also do pottery and some other crafts here and there. And I have some plans for those other crafts coming up, which I'm excited about. And I'll talk through when we get there. But today is episode 4 of my podcast, which is really exciting because this is the episode where I talk about my first time at Flock Fiber Festival. I live in Seattle, but this is my first time going, since this is like my first kind of full year of getting into knitting and my first time that I heard about it. So I can talk a little bit about that. I also have some finished objects, some whips, some acquisitions, and also pottery stuff that I forgot to share last episode, and like new pottery stuff, whatever. So those will fall into the like normal knitting podcast categories when we get to them. But first, let's talk about what I'm wearing, and then we'll talk about Flock. So I'm wearing my frog baby tee, which I shared in my last podcast as a finished object, and we did a 2-part project vlog on it, but it's completely self-drafted, and the frog design is my own as well. And I'm wearing it today because I wore it to Flock, and I got so many compliments on it. It made me just like so happy that other people love it as much as I do, and it was a good like conversation starter with people. So I'm really happy about that. But so let's talk about Flock. I went to Flock only the Sunday day, and I went with my best friend. My best friend is kind of a part-time crocheter, I would say. She did a temperature blanket last year and is doing another temperature like garden square blanket this year. Actually, the other one might have been 2 years ago. Either way, she is kind of like into yarn and stuff, but not as like obsessive as I am over the hobby. So it was fun to go with somebody who like also could use yarn, and she got some yarn too. So anyway, but we went to Sunday, and going into it, I was expecting to be like completely overwhelmed, but the Sunday day was really chill, actually. I think it's because, and from what I've heard from other people who went, other YouTubers who went to Flock, the Saturday was just like really, really chaotic and overwhelming, but like still positive, and then the Sunday was like very chill. So I was really happy that for my first time going, it was like the chill day. I think it was especially good because I didn't really have a solid plan going into it. My preparation beforehand was mostly at the breakfast with my best friend before we went. I looked at my Ravelry liked page and picked a few projects that I could potentially get yarn for that I want to make in the near future. And I took screenshots of them, which I had heard that the reception in the convention center wasn't very great. So like I'll just screenshot some of them so that I have like the yardage, and I could just like estimate like somewhere, in the middle for my size and what yarn weight for those projects. And that way I could just quickly reference them. That was pretty much the extent of my preparation. So I didn't really look too much into the vendors that were there. I didn't really do any research on I didn't really prep or like envision colors too much for things, other than I'm planning on doing 2 to 4 gift knits this year, like full sweater size gift knits. One of my finished objects that I'll just talk about now because it's relevant. I knit my grandma a little mini sweater for her birthday while I was home 2 weeks ago, and I knit it as like an IOU, a gift knit, and she was very gift knit worthy, and I just was really happy with the idea of like giving her a little mini sweater and I actually made a little teeny hanger too, so it could be like a Christmas ornament or wherever she wants to hang it up. But it ended up being a really good idea because now I get to collaborate with her on what she wants that she would actually wear, because I was originally going to knit her socks, but she's not like a sock person, and the sock that I started knitting for her ended up being too small anyway, which is fine. It's not like a big deal because she's not a sock person anyway. But now I get to like figure out with her what to knit her for her birthday and probably Christmas too, because I'm sure it'll take me that long. Anyway, what we landed on is like a sage greeny, bluey kind of color V-neck cardigan that's form-fitting. And so the one that I found when looking on Ravelry was let me check, the April cardigan by PetiteKnit. I'm thinking about doing that one because it's just a V-neck form-fitting little cardigan. My grandma's like a small person. Or thinking about getting the Maggie cardigan by PetiteKnit pattern and modifying it to be V-neck. So I'm a little bit torn on that, like if I want to like venture into like modifying something like that, although it doesn't seem like it would be that difficult to modify. So let me know if you guys have any ideas for a pattern that kind of fits those requirements. But anyway, so I had for flock the idea of maybe some yarn, probably like a DK weight merino wool in like a sagey greeny bluey color for my grandma. But I knew in the back of my mind that Knitting for Olive has some good colors in that kind of category. So it wasn't like a do or die, I need to get yarn for this at flock. The other gift knit that I'm making is, while I was talking about this with my grandma, my mom was like, well, I want something too. And she decided that she also wants a V-neck cardigan, which I'm not the biggest fan of V-neck cardigans. I would much prefer to knit like have a button all the way up. I think that's cuter on me personally, but it makes sense for them because they didn't want like any kind of like itchiness or sensitivity. Like, they just want it to be like easy to take on and off kind of thing. So my mom, what we landed on was maybe the Eva cardigan by PetiteKnit, and she's so cute. She wants it to be a green color. My mom's a teacher, and she wants the school color, which is like a true green, like a pine green kind of color. So she wants a school spirit type cardigan, which I think is really cute. So, and Knitting for Olive didn't have the exact kind of color, and she's very particular about the color. It like needs to match like the school logo. But it's not like it has to be that perfect. But yeah, so Knitting for Olive doesn't really have the right green that she's looking for, and I looked on like a bunch of other yarn companies that I'm like aware of, maybe never like used their yarn before, to see if they had anything, and we couldn't really find anything that was in the right color. So I knew that it was a perfect opportunity for me to look for that green color at flock, because there's a whole bunch of other vendors that like I haven't really even looked up or know anything about. So that was something that I had in mind while looking at booths. Yeah, so that was like kind of the extent of my prep. Was I had some patterns that I maybe wanted to knit for myself. I had yarn maybe for my grandma, but like wasn't as important as the yarn for my mom, which she was looking for a particular green. So, and yeah, we went on Sunday and we just like got our little wristbands and went up the escalator and just like started off. And what I've done at like craft fairs and like other things before is walk around in order all the booths and take pictures of things that like I maybe want to get, slash purchase things that feel like they're like the last of its kind or whatever, or that I know that I love and I'm gonna get regardless of if I like have deliberation time. And then at the end we could go back to those booths that we were like considering and get yarn or whatever we were looking at for. So yeah, we started off and we just went down the booths, and there was like maybe a few other people in the booths, but not in a way where like they're in the way from looking at everything that we want to look at. And yeah, I guess we could just start with acquisitions. Does that make more sense? This episode? The first thing that I bought where I can't remember the booth, but if I find it, I'll put it on the screen. I got these little lizard, like the classic like 90s, early 2000 beaded lizard stitch markers, and I love them. It wasn't from the booth where was it like Rico or something like that? There's a booth that has a whole bunch of beautiful beaded items and stitch markers and jewelry and all of that stuff. But this was from a different booth, and I saw this before I saw that other one. It doesn't really matter. I really like these, and I would have got them anyway. But yeah, I think they're so freaking sweet and cute, and I love the little pop of greeny yellow. And yeah, the person that I got it from was super duper nice and talked about how long it took to actually make these, and I appreciated that. So I got these, and I think that they were $30. It was a set of 2, and I could use them as earrings if I so choose. So that was the first thing that I bought at Flock. The second thing that I got was at I think it's called Mabel. There was a booth that had a whole bunch of really beautiful quilted project bags and other things, and I really wanted to get a big project bag like that, and I thought that maybe that could work for me, but they didn't really have kind of the right style that felt entirely right for me. I feel like I was looking for maybe something that had a zipper so I could like enclose it and like carry it in other bags, or yeah, it just didn't really quite make sense. Or if I just wanted to get a new bag for myself, like as my everyday bag. But I'm really obsessed with my everyday bag right now, which is like a thrifted Patagonia or Mountain Hardware or something like that kind of gorpy blue bag that I really like. So I don't know. I didn't really stumble upon anything that was quite perfect. There was this like maybe like this size like zipper pouch that like could be like a makeup cut set kind of size, and I really liked that size and shape, but I didn't entirely love the quilt colors and stuff on it. One of them was like purple and yellow, which I thought was a fun combination, but purple is my least favorite color. So I just like it just didn't really feel like me. But I did end up getting this teeny tiny like wallet size little zipper pouch, and there was 2 that I was debating between, this one and one that had like more yellow, but I got this one because I really like this blue zipper color. So, and I've been keeping like stitch markers, my little mini scissors, and that sort of thing in it, and it's been really nice to like always know where that stuff is, and I can, if I'm knitting on the couch, just bring this. This is all I need. I don't need anything else. So that was a really good purchase and something that I've been using a lot, which is really good. After I got that, we just kind of went around. What I was noticing that I was drawn to in terms of yarn for myself, if I were to get like a sweater quantity, was these like really bold royal blue. I don't know, is royal blue the right color? These like really bold blue colors, and I was drawn to them in every single booth. There were certain booths where like it was so blindingly blue that I was just like, I felt like a mosquito, like, or I felt like a bug drawn to like a light bulb or something. It was just like I beeline for this specific royal blue color, which I feel like is trending or going to trend for fall and winter. Because it's just like, it's such a good color, and maybe has been trending for a while. Either way, I was really liking it, and I was thinking that I could get yarn for the Upstream sweater. Can't remember the designer name, but Rose Knitwear. Is that right? It might be right, but I know that it's in the book. You have to get the book to get that pattern, and there's some other patterns in that book that I also am interested by. So that was a side note, but anyway, I was thinking about getting yarn for that specific pattern, and I feel like it would be really good in that like really royal blue color. So I kept getting drawn to those as we were going around, and then also kept looking at like the greens in the same range as like what my mom was looking for in all the booths, and took pictures. And then at the end, went back to the booth was Fiber MacGyver, I think, and they had some really beautiful, what's it called, Shiniko DK. They had some beautiful Shiniko yarn, which I don't know too much about, but I think her Instagram is the Botanical Knitter was there, which I didn't realize that she was like known by people in the knitting community until like after I talked to her. But she was so freaking sweet and helpful, and she like came up to me when I was looking at this color, saying that like it's a beautiful color and that I should definitely get it, and like she's like really wants to work with it and all that stuff. But they have this emerald color in that yarn fiber or whatever that felt really perfect for what my mom was looking for. I know my mom was looking for something maybe to like slightly variegated or some type of like dimension to it, but I felt like all the yarns that were in that same kind of color that were variegated were too variegated. So this one is not variegated, it's just like a plain beautiful color. But because it's hand dyed, I think that maybe if I alternate skeins it'll be that variegated. Either way, they only had 5 left by the time I went back to buy it. And I knew I needed probably like 6 or 7. I can't really remember how much I needed, but I knew that I would rather get more because it was actually a color that I really like and I would love to knit a beanie in. But I ended up doing a pre-order with them, so I just like put my email in and my quantity and like the color and whatever, and then I'm gonna pay once they're remade, I guess, or re-dyed, so that they can send them to me. So I have no idea how long that's gonna take to get here, but I'm really excited. I think I ordered 8 skeins just so I could be like completely sure that I would have enough for my mom's project without having to like reorder, and then I could take the leftovers and do something for me because it's a really good color. And yeah, so I'm really curious to play around with the Shiniko yarn. The botanical knitter, what's her name? I'm so bad at names, so I'm sorry, but she was telling me that it's Oregon, I think, and it was just kind of perfect timing because I just did a road trip through the Oregon coast with my best friend right before this, and it felt just like a special like all connection thing. But it was super duper soft, the fiber, and she said it blooms really really well and is super soft and doesn't like stretch out like superwash merino would, which I was kind of looking for merino, and so I thought it could work. So we'll see if I end up getting it like when I receive it, because I will continue my pre-order for it. Anyway, so I got that, which ended up being pretty expensive, which I knew that yarn was expensive, especially there, but I feel like, yeah, we'll see. So after that pre-order, I then went back to some of the booths that had the like royal blue yarn, and I think for the Upstream sweater you needed air and weight, so that kind of narrowed things down. And there was one booth called Pigment and Ply that had a royal blue that was DK weight, but it felt a little bit fuller than DK to me, so I was hoping that it would just work out with whatever my gauge ended up being. So I asked them if I could do a pre-order, since I just did a pre-order for Fiber MacGyver, and she just said, yeah, like here's my email me and I'll get back to you, and we could do the pre-order. But the yarn that I was looking at was the Pigment and Ply Superwash Merino DK in the color I'll Be Your Demon Daddy, which I think is a really funny name, and I'm not sure what the reference is to, but I'm sure it's to something because I know a lot of the yarn dyers do like themes or whatever. But I emailed and I haven't heard back yet. I know it's probably really chaotic and busy, like traveling back home and from Block and all that kind of stuff, but I'm just waiting to hear back from that. But I'm not entirely sure now if I want to pre-order it because it's superwash merino and I'm a little bit nervous about it stretching out. So I'm not entirely sure, and I can't quite remember the feel of the yarn in my hands. So I'm a little bit nervous. So I might go back like to my local yarn stores and see if they have anything in that kind of color that I could like feel again in person, because it's like I already forgot, especially because at Flock I like touched so many things. After that, I kind of panicked that I didn't really get any yarn for myself. So we went back to the Explorer Knits and Fibers booth, and then I ended up getting 2 skeins there. I got 2 of the linen sock, which is 80% non-superwash merino and 20% linen. And I got the color Muckross and Skyline. And the Muckross is like this really, it's like in the same category as like my favorite color, like a greeny brown. And then this like blue that's almost like a denim-y blue. It has like little flecks of brown in it. And yeah, I just thought these were really nice, and I really liked that they had linen in them as well as the superwash merino, or the non-superwash merino. So I'm excited to play around with these. I'm thinking about knitting, I can't remember the name of it, but this little bralette that's ribbed in this yarn, and I feel like I'm hoping that one skein will be enough, but if not, like I don't mind using these together because I think that they look good together, like the earth and the sky type of thing. But I'm not entirely sure how size inclusive the pattern that I was looking at is. I'm like a bigger chested person, despite having a breast reduction surgery years ago. Still like a little bit self-conscious of how big my chest is, and I'm not entirely sure if knitting something like this would make me feel like cute because I made it, or if it'll make me feel like more attention is drawn to something that I'm like not super comfy in my body. But if I don't decide to do that, I feel like socks in these would be really good, especially because they have that linen in them, so they would be good like summer socks. So yeah, this was more of a panic purchase of like, I didn't get anything and now we're leaving and I want to get something. So I know that a lot of people talk about this yarn brand, and so I'm excited to try this particular fiber out. And if I like it, I feel like this could be a really good sweater for me. Oh, maybe they have a good color. I think that they do have a really good color because I think Maddie from PetiteKnit got the same color that I'm kind of wanting. So I'll have to look. Maybe I'll test out this and see if I like this yarn, but I probably will. So that is Flock. Now let's get into like the normal proceedings of a knitting podcast. So let's talk about finished objects. I have a few. So I'll start with this one. This is my first finished object, which has been in every single podcast thus far, and maybe it will be in the next one because maybe I'll be wearing it like I wore this frog one. But this is my cloud sweater by PetiteKnit. I knit this in the Blue Sky Fibers Organic Cotton Worsted in the color Bay Leaf, and I think it was pretty off gauge, which I've talked about too much. I won't spend too much time talking about it, but last we left off, I had to reknit the sleeves, and it didn't take me very long to do so. So I just adjusted my decrease rate to what felt right, and then at the end did the 1x1 rib, and I knit and then cast it off like it recommends in the pattern. But I had some issues before of it not feeling like it rolled enough on the sleeves particularly. Like you can see how it rolls on the collar and it rolls on the hem too, but I couldn't get it to roll right on the sleeves for some reason, no matter if it was tight or loose. So what I ended up doing was ripping back out a few rows of the stockinette after the rib and doing less so that the actual edge looks like a rolled edge even though it's not rolling. So, I mean, it's fine. So, I wore this a ton already. This was the only layer that I brought on my road trip, and I needed a layer a lot more than I thought I would. And this was perfect because it's 100% cotton, and I wore it on the beach a lot. I wore it like camping by fire, and it smelled like a campfire for a few days after, which was fine with me. And it already looks really beat up, and that's what I wanted out of this sweater, because I wanted it to be something that I could just throw on regardless of, you know, feeling like I needed to be presentable or not, and I could just beat it up. That's what I wanted, and it's doing a good job of that, and it looks really good despite being kind of pilly and raggedy. It already did look like that before I wore it, so it's not like that big of a deal, but I'm obsessed with this color. And that was another thing at Flock that I was looking at. I kept getting drawn to like this color, and I was like, I literally just made a sweater in this color, so I can't do that. See, it's like the same color as this. Not the same color, but really close. Or it's like, it's just a color that I love, but I can't be buying everything in this color. I don't know how other people who have been knitting for years don't run out of projects. Like, you can't be, like, if your favorite color is red, you can't be knitting a red sweater and a red cardigan and a red, like, another sweater. Like, how do you do that? How do you have new things that you want to knit? I mean, I know my list of projects is really long, but reasonably, I'm not going to wear all of these ideas that I have. And, like, I'm not going to knit another sweater this color because I have a sweater this color. I don't really know. Let me know you guys' thoughts on that, because I don't know how it's possible. Like, my feeling, and maybe I'll be wrong because obviously I've been really into knitting, but my feeling is that maybe a year or two down the road, I'll just like have everything that I feel like I need knit-wise and be done. Hot take. Hot take. Do you stop knitting when you have everything that you've knit that you want to knit? Or do you keep knitting because of the act of knitting? I don't know. So that's my first finished object. Love it. My next finished object is my Vilma top. So this is the Vilma top by Gregoria Fibers, and I knit mine in Sandnes Garn Pure Gynt in the dark brown color. What's it called? I don't know what the color is, but it's probably dark brown. It's like Cacao or Cacao or something like that, but it's the PetiteKnit Collab colorway. And this pattern, I think, recommends an Aran weight or worsted weight or something, and Pure Gynt is a DK weight. But I actually got gauge on the recommended needles for this, which was really exciting to me because I never hit gauge on the recommended needles. And I really liked the idea of a brown vest. So I was like, let's just go for it. I've been wanting to try Pure Gynt anyway. A vest is like something where you always wear something underneath it. So let's give it a shot. And I didn't love working with it as much as I love working with cotton, which I know is like not the standard. But I felt a little bit itchy and scratchy, but once I blocked the swatch, it changed so much. Like, it bloomed so beautifully, and I was like, I get it now, because I haven't really knit with wool before. So I was really excited to like just like have the experience of knitting something that's like shrinks up, and then being able to block it and actually stretch it out, since the things that I've knit and blocked before in the past, like, it's mostly cotton, so the blocking doesn't really change it too much. So I didn't really get the satisfaction of like seeing the pre and post block situation. And mine was really fun for this because I had specific measurements that I wanted it to be, like the length and like the pit to pit measurement, and I got to like put that on my blocking mat in a certain measurement, and like stretch it out lengthwise so that it matched that, and it was really fun. So I get it. I do get it. I do have to note that this, although it did soften up a lot from before blocking, is still itchy to me. And I know Pure Gynt is like a fan favorite out there, as well as like, what is it, like Double Sunday or something like that. I'm sure there's a few fan favorites. So I kind of want to try knitting smaller things than those other ones that are really popular to see if I like those better. But I think I'm just like kind of sensitive. I think I'm just a little sensitive. I'm a little sensitive to wool, which is fine. That's okay. But I think this will be an adventurous winter of me like testing out different wools to see if there's anything that sticks with me. But overall, I am still really happy with how this turned out, and I still will wear it. If you haven't noticed, I did do rainbow buttons on this, and really fun. I did do matching thread for each button, which I thought was really fun in the moment. And after trying it on, once all the colors were on it, I was like, I don't know if I like it. It feels like a lot, which I know it's not. And originally when I was laying them out, I was like, these look so good together. I think, and you'll see in another whip that I have too, I love color combinations, and I've been doing those color palettes on Instagram, like pulling like little color squares based on like combinations of colors that I see in my everyday life. But I'm not sure if I love colorful things in the same item. Like I think I'm more like a color blocking type thing, where like the outfit that I wore today before I changed into this, like I was wearing like my brown super workies with my like yellowy green socks, and just like the colors like the items themselves are different colors, and the color combination together is what I really enjoy, versus this is like I don't have the option to break apart this. Like I think I might change this to be dark brown buttons so that I could wear like a red long sleeve with this on top, and like the choice of putting two separate colors together is what makes it colorful and fun rather than it being in the same item. So I think I'm going to do that. But I'm not ready to wear this yet, so I might just keep it and like look at it. Especially because sewing on buttons isn't necessarily my favorite thing in the world. So the other thing too with this that I do want to talk about is where the blue button hole is. There is actually no hole. I just like skipped it on accident, but I was able to just shove the button through, and because of it being lower on this, I'm never going to wear this opened up. I'm only would ever wear it all the way buttoned, and I could put it on my head with all of them buttoned. So honestly, I didn't even probably need to do buttonholes and stuff, because I could have just made it a faux button band. But regardless, I do really love this pattern, and I would recommend it for anybody wanting to explore lace work. It was really super duper fun and engaging, and you can memorize the pattern because of like the time in between them, which was really nice. This is bottom up, so if I can remember correctly, you do kind of the full bottom, and then you split and do the left, the right, and the back, and then you do a 3 needle join, I think, at the top here, and that resulted in a really beautiful seam up here. I was a little bit skeptical about bottom up because you obviously can't try it on as you go to see the right length, but you still could have like a vision for it. But I knew that because this was wool that I was working with, and from stretching out my swatch, that I could stretch it kind of to what I want it to be, so, which ended up being a really good choice because I got it to be a length that I wanted. It does in the pattern have, you do a provisional cast on so that you could do another row or another, yeah, I guess row of the lace work. Yeah, and then I think at the end you do this little like detail faux rib. And it is also twisted rib everywhere, which I think makes it look so polished and so clean. And I've been really excited to play around with twisted rib more. So again, I'm really happy with it, but I decided to change the buttons so that I could actually like figure out playing around with it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I have 3 finished pottery objects. Let's just jump to that. So last episode, I forgot to share these. So I thought I would share them now. But I have 3 finished pottery objects and some whips too. But the first finished one is my little tomato bowl. I made this so like I just did like red circles and green stars. Been loving like that color combination, and just wanted like to do little tomatoes on this bowl and it be really summery and cute, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. So I might do more of this like a little, like I didn't make them super leafy, it's just they're stars, which I thought was fun. And then these 2 are slightly dirty because I pulled them out of the dishwasher, but I'll do little cutaways of them when they're clean. But I made this one with this like honeydew green glaze, and then I did an orange underglaze on the bottom. Yeah, see there's like ice cream or something stuck to it, but the bottom is orange, and I wanted it to feel pretty like cantaloupe-y, which I feel like usually you would do like the inside of the thing, like the cantaloupe insides, but I did the bottom, and I really like how that looks. And I feel like I might do that more in the future because it's really cute. And then the last one, which I feel like if you had watched 2 podcasts ago, you probably are excited to see the finished one of this, but I made a bowl that has the like quilt star motif on it. And yeah, I'm so happy with how this came out. I did like different color quilt motifs all the way around the rim, one big one in the center, and then I also have this glaze that is kind of like funfetti to me that I did all the way around all of the motifs. I also have like these underglaze colored pencils, so I outlined all of the stars with the colored pencils so that it would kind of feel like seams or like this like stitching, I guess. But I actually feel like it kind of looks a little bit more like sketchy than like what I was going for, but I still really love it, and I love this bowl and I use it all the time. Actually, I think this is dirty because Elmer used it for his breakfast the other day. I like cleaned it, but like it just hasn't been sanitized in the dishwasher yet. And yeah, I'm really happy with these. So okay, let's go on to whips. And because we just talked about my quilt bowl, let me talk about my quilt blankets that are sneakily behind me before I forget, because these are kind of in between finished objects and works in progress. But this is for my quilt blanket that I'm working on. So I'm using the Friends cotton, I think it's 8/8 in their really dark brown color. There's a million colors in that. And yeah, so that's what I'm using for the base. And then I'm using stash yarn plus supplementary yarn that I need for like specific colors as I go. But last episode, I think I had most of this motif done except for some of the bottoms. So this one's completely finished. And then I also did a second one with yellow as the outside and blue as the inside. So I think some of the yellow is a secondhand cotton yarn that I got from Stella Be Creative, and some of the yellow is the Queensland coastal cotton, which is what is going to be like my supplementary if I need another color. which I needed another blue, so I got this, like, I don't know what it's called. I'll try to find it, but this like electric blue color. And this is the Malabriga Verano in phthalo blue that was left over from my oldest sweater, which is a little bit thinner than some of the other yarns, so it is gaping more in the center here, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about it, but yeah, I'm really happy with how they're looking together, and I'm excited to do the next one. I was on a train of doing like one, like, of the little squares every single day because I was really addicted to it. And then after my trip, I was like, I can reward myself with finishing the like yellow and blue one. And so I finished it, and I just haven't started the next one yet. So I need to get back on the one a day, less to limit myself and more to continue working on it, which is really funny actually. So let me put these back. And they've just been living on this chair, and I think they're really cute. And I do have to, and I could decide, hey, I'm not gonna make a blanket, and I'll just make a pillow cover instead. But I think I am gonna continue going with the blanket because I really want to add green. My color palette for it will be like the dark brown, yellow, red, blue, and green, like different shades of them. Oh, and then I'll just talk about another acquisition because it's relevant. I did get the Queensland Coastal Cotton in the navy blue color because I was thinking when I laid out the quilt star motifs next to each other, how it is in this. Sorry, this is the Stella quilt pattern by Laura Penrose, and yeah, when I laid them out, you're supposed to eventually join them together, but I felt like there wasn't enough room between the edges of the stars. So what I'm planning on doing, and I haven't figured out how I want to do it yet, but I'm planning on doing a thin border of a dark version of the red, yellow, green, blue colors around the sides, and then a lighter version of the red, yellow, green, blue colors in as a little square. I'll put a mock-up so you guys can kind of get what I'm talking about, but I wanted to start getting dark versions of colors, and I decided navy would be a really good first one. So that'll be the quilt star motif bordered with a dark color, mostly navy maybe, and then little squares of, I have some like creams, whites, I have like a baby yellow color in the little tiny square between the rectangles. So I think that will be really cute and add a little bit more like variety to the blanket. So I am excited about that. So maybe I'll do that, figure out how to do it. Yeah, moving on. I feel like I still have so much to talk about, but let's talk about this one. So this is the June Bug Top by Nat Cantu, and it is a made to measure little top with a little circular cutout, kind of like right at the top of the chest, and it's shaped as a raglan. So you do like, so how it works is you do a little gauge swatch, and then in the pattern it has you plug in measurements, like your body measurements and your gauges measurement, and it kind of calculates stitch counts and stuff for you to then like make your raglan. And yeah, it walks you through like the process basically of drafting based on your gauge swatch, which I've done basically something similar with this one, which was really cool to like see how my take on how to do it, and then how to do it in a way that's not just like a normal basic t-shirt shape. So that's been really fun, and it is supposed to be form-fitting. So you basically calculate your measurements, do a raglan, and continue knitting until the fullest part of your bust, and then you start doing decreases to like your smallest point, and then you have the option, well, you get, all of this is optional obviously, to do increases again. So this is not something that I would normally knit. It feels very feminine for me. And I usually, I don't know, like even the Vilma top is like on the edge of too feminine for me, which is why I picked the brown color for it. But I am going to a wedding in a few weeks, and I have a long navy linen skirt, and I thought it would be cute to make a little navy top to go with that so I could wear it to the wedding or like one of the wedding events. And so this is the Cotton Merino by Knitting for Olive in the color navy blue, and I'm holding it double so that it's more of a DK weight. And I really like working with this yarn. This is my first time using Knitting for Olive, and I do get the hype of it, especially this Cotton Merino. I think it's 70% cotton, 30% merino, but it's really nice. It has a nice like feel to it. It's not too warm. It's not itchy at all. I really enjoy it. And yeah, this one did give me some trouble because so it has this little cutout detail, and you can make it as big or deep as you want it to. Like some people, I think you can make it like really big, open, which could work on certain body types, but I didn't feel like it would be good for me, as I don't want to like highlight that part of my body. And then you join in the round right underneath, however the length you want the cutout to be. And for some reason, when connecting in the round, I messed up and twisted it 3 times. Not once, not twice, but 3 times I twisted it in the round, which is just absurd. The first time I was like, I don't even have anything to worry about. I didn't even think about thinking about like twisting in the round, because you had like an inch or so section. It seems like it would just be easier. Like you don't have to even think about it. So I didn't even consider the fact that I had to make sure the stitches weren't twisted, which obviously was a mistake. And then I knit a ton more after that, and I had to rip all of it out. And I just started over. And then I was like, okay, this time I'm going to do it right and not twist it. And so I really focused, and I twisted it again. And I realized like a few hours later. Then the third time I was like, how in the world could I have paid more attention than I did the last time to make sure that it's not twisted? And somehow I twisted it again. And then the fourth time, in order to do it right, what I ended up doing was, after you join in the round, there's just once, obviously, so it's really upside down. Anyway, you have the cutout, so you have like your inch or so, and then you join the round, and it's just, there's no, like, you don't cast on anything or anything, so it's a little bit tricky to know if it's twisted on the one round. So what I ended up doing was I just knit and purled back and forth right here, and then made sure that it wasn't twisted, and that helped me. So I don't know if anyone else ever runs into that problem where you can't tell entirely from the first, like the join, if it's twisted. If you work back and forth on the join, that worked for me, because otherwise you have to knit all the way around, and then you have like how many ever 100 something stitches that you have to undo. So and then it ended up being no big deal after that. So, and then I've been trying it on as I go, because obviously it's made to measure, and I think that I might have done too many decreases, because it is a little bit worrisome to put on. Like I'm worried that I'm gonna like rip a stitch, because my my like bust and waist measurements are pretty drastically different, and so I felt like I wanted to decrease a lot because I wanted to be like form fitting, but I don't think that I needed to decrease that much. I think it could have been fine without that, and so I'm debating ripping back and not doing as many decreases, but it is fine. So, and my swatch did stretch out a touch because of the merino, so it might be okay. But I think overall I'm just like not super duper into it anymore, and I think that I might have miscalculated measurements from the start, and I might rip the whole thing back, but I might just keep it as is and wear it, well, like finish it, because it's really not that far from being done. Finish it, wear it, and see how I feel, but I probably won't wear it again, so I might then rip it back out afterwards, kind of like buy something, wearing it, and then returning it to the store. I might do that with this. And the other thing that I was debating between, well, there were 4 projects that I was debating between. The Junebug top, which I landed on, and the Pippa Tee. I can't remember the designer, but those 2 I was really torn between. But for the Pippa Tee, if you haven't seen it before, I don't know what the construction is. I have such a bad memory, but it's like a little short sleeve or cap sleeve type top that has buttons on the slide and closes on the side. And for that one, I thought it would be really cool to make my own buttons and do that. But I didn't think that I had enough time to make my own buttons before going to this wedding, so that's why I decided on this one. But if I decide that I don't like it anymore, or maybe I find something else to wear instead, then I'll frog this and make the Pippa Tee instead with my own handmade buttons, which I did try making today. So we'll see how they come out. But yeah, I just knew that there wouldn't have been enough time to like finish them before that. But anyway, that is that. The other thing that I did for this is I did a crochet picot edge at the top, which isn't in the pattern, but I did it on something else. Oh no, this was the first thing that I did it on. I don't know, I just wanted it to be like a touch of something else. Maybe it would help, and I then combined the picot edge over the hole here, so I didn't need to use a button or anything, which I was torn between. And I kind of just got carried away, and originally was just doing a few to like see if I liked the look, and did the whole entire around the chest, the top of the shoulders, and the back, because it was just really addicting. I learned to crochet long before I learned to knit, and it might be in my genes because my great grandma was an amazing crocheter. Like, back in her day, I don't think she finished high school because I think they pulled her out of high school to crochet instead, which honestly is the dream. But anyway, I do have like a beautiful, like gigantic crochet, like micro crochet, gigantic blanket from her that was like handed down to me, which I think is just unbelievable. And one day I hope to have a giant wall in my home and get it like a custom frame for it that is the entire wall. It's just this beautiful crochet piece. It is all white, so it wouldn't be like too much. But anyway, crochet is just in my blood, and I felt it. I felt it doing this. And yeah, so I might get into crochet. I haven't for a long time, but there is let me see if I wrote it down. Yes, I did. Edsfart on Instagram released a pattern called the Shnood, which is like kind of like a balaclava bonnet type thing, but it's a little bit more like, I think there's like a pixie and a gnome, a wizard versions where there's like a pointy tip and it's at different lengths, and you could do a scarf, you could do like a drawstring, different variations for it. And when I originally saw the pattern, I was like, I'm going to make this. And then I saw that it was crochet, and I was like, I'm not going to make this. But now that I remembered that I do know how to crochet and I do enjoy it more than I remembered, I might make that. But then again, I'm like, am I actually going to wear that? I don't really know. Like, if I were to do it, I would want to do the wizard version, which is like a really long one, and the scarf. But I don't know. We'll see. I might do it. Maybe I'll do it for a Halloween costume. That would be cute. And then I could wear it after. So, anyway, I might be a crochet person now. We'll see. So that's my June bug top. Guys, I still have so many more, and I don't even know if I'm going to edit anything out. I've just been go, 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 go. So next up, we'll talk about this really quickly because it's been in a few podcasts and I barely have made any progress on it. But this is the 2x2 rib sock that I'm working on for my boyfriend in Rowan felted tweed. And I can't remember the color name. I always forget it. But I am working on closing up the toe on this. So, John, if you're watching, made some progress. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, okay? We'll work on it. Okay. And then I do have another sock that I started last night. This is where it's a little bit embarrassing because I could have completely finished his sock, no questions asked, but instead I casted on another brown sock. But this sock is a color block sock that I'm working on, and I love it so far. But I might have a similar issue to what I had with my rainbow buttons on my Vilma top. That, like, maybe in a sock it's less chaotic, but my plan for the sock was to do, like, this is a 1x1 half twisted rib folded cuff, a little bit of brown, and then a 3x1 red section, brown, and then I was going to do, this is part of my acquisitions, but I was going to do a green heel, brown for the foot, and then this green toe. But I'm not entirely sure now if I like color blocking in this way. So I do really love how it looks right now, though. So I think I'm going to continue it, and if I decide that once the sock is finished that it won't actually be something that I want to wear, then I will maybe just do brown or take out this red section. Or honestly, maybe I should not add more colors. We'll see. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but this this light blue color is secondhand from Seattle Recreative, and then the brown, the red, and those other ones are all laying jaw wool, which I was really excited to try, and I decided to just get a bunch of colors in it. That way I could play around with color combinations in socks. I actually sketched up a whole bunch of versions based on, like, some that I've saved on Pinterest, some that I've saved on Ravelry, just like patterns out there in the world. And this one is kind of inspired by the Bagoo socks, which I actually do have those. They're brown and they have, like, different colors for, like, the different pieces, but I don't know. This was just, I just casted it on, okay? No thinking went into it, but also some thinking did go into it. And I do really like it. The thing with this one that is just something that I think I need to work on, because I feel like it's come up in several podcasts now, but my pearls are loose. And in this, I even did, so for the 1x1 half twisted rib, I twisted the pearls. And then this 3x1, I twisted the pearls. To hopefully, like, my thought was, I feel like when I see people knit socks and they knit a rib cuff, it's like, it's so scrunched in and then it goes, like, way out. And mine just is, like, so perfectly straight So I'm wondering if the issue is less about my pearls being loose, because my twisted pearls are also loose, and maybe it's more about the transition between the pearl and the knit stitch. So yeah, let me know your all thoughts on that. I know so many of my comments on my last video recommended doing a fully ribbed beanie to practice it, and I think that's a wonderful idea, and I'm definitely going to do that. And yeah, maybe just I need to be like really more intentional about like pulling it tight. But that's what I thought the twisted pearl would do. But maybe you're supposed to twist the knit in half twisted rib. I'm not entirely sure now at this point, but either way, I'm really loving this brown color. As you obviously know, it's like my quilt, my Vilma top, and my boyfriend's sock, and now this sock, and I would love a sweater in this too. So there might be a lot of brown, dark brown coming up, but yeah, that is this one. Another lip that I have is I am exploring the idea of redoing my dog walking kit and making it all my own. So if you don't know, I have a puppy, Elmer. He's like 1.5. He's a Cocker Spaniel, but I still use a lot of treats for training. Anyway, I carry a pouch that I don't want to get it, but it's like it clasps in the front, and it's like a little pouch, and then on it I've hooked like a dog poop bag holder thing, and the pouch has like treats and like a spare poop bag and all that stuff. And I really liked it at first because it's like a light blue color, and it complements the colors that I wear. But I feel like I'm just kind of sick of it, and I feel like I can make it. So I did order some fabric. I can't remember the fabric company. I was going to order from Blackbird Fabrics, but the day that I was going to do it was a day after they decided not to ship to the United States anymore because of tariffs, which is really annoying. There's a lot of really annoying things about that. But yeah, so I was a little disappointed in that. That's like the first time I actually wanted to get something. Anyway, I ordered something from another company, so I got like a dark brown fabric and a PLU, I think, lining, which obviously I would prefer to use like linen or cotton or something, but I wanted something that was like water resistant and like food safe for the inside of the pouch, because it would be dog treats, and like maybe sometimes that's cheese, maybe sometimes it's just like venison, which is Elmer's food without sensitivities. Anyways, and then I'm going to order an olive green cotton webbing, which is like the strap, I guess, and I think a silver buckle, like one of those like 3-pronged like buckle, and I have some like silver hardware that I'm going to attach so that I can like hook things onto. Whatever. That's going to be a whole project, and maybe I'll do a little sewing vlog or sewing video about it, because I'm just going to self-draft it. I'm not going to like get a pattern or anything. And I'm not the best sewing person, but I like do know how roughly, and I've like made a few things in the past. And eventually I do want to like make like the lane pants and stuff that everybody does, but it's just not like a priority for me, although I do have spare fabric that I want to use to make the lane pants. So we'll see. Maybe once it's out and I get back into it for the little dog walking pouch, I'll want to like continue that sewing mojo or the sojo or whatever. Yeah, anyway, the other thing with that is I want to, or I have, but I'm in the progress of, knit a pouch to hold the dog poop bags. So I have a couple different versions, and I feel like I'm just like in prototyping stage right now. So let me move this actually into this one. So I used the Rybka Pouch. I can't remember the designer. A Rybka fish pouch, which I'm sure you've seen. It's a really wonderful concept and pattern. And So yeah, this is my first attempt. I followed the pattern pretty much exactly to the T except for the length. I referenced a poop bag length for it, and yeah, everything else I followed, except I might have done the folded over portion wrong. So I tried to switch it in my next one. But this was kind of the vision, is that it's a little fish pouch. So for the fish, you do 2 separate halves of the fish, and then you crochet, seam them all together. And I just didn't seam together a portion where the poop bag would come out. And yeah, this is the first version of it. I did realize that maybe the eye should have been on the other side. So imagine the eye being up here, and then it's more of like a bottom fin. So I don't know if that's quite right to me. And then, yeah, like I mentioned, I might have followed the instructions wrong for the seam, because the straps come out of like inside the pouch rather than up at the top, which I am not entirely sure what the intention was. It could be that I did it right for this one, but I might switch it for a future one. But the issue that I have is that when it's like fully closed, it doesn't cinch as tightly as I want it to. And I didn't do an I-cord. I mean, I tried to, or started to, and then I was like, I don't think it's going to be right. So I just put this like cotton ropey yarn in here. And yeah, it just doesn't cinch quite right. Like I want it to be like tight and snug to be like the fish lips, but it's not quite right. So I decided for my second version, actually this was the second one I did, which obviously is just one fish half. But to make it a little bit smaller, so I did less stitches of the first part. That would be the lips and the like drawstring section, so that it would be a tighter, smaller like lip. And I did less stitches overall for this size, because in this one there is a lot of room. If you could see, I can pinch all this room out from where the poop bag actually sits, and this is a full poop bag. And the length too, like it moves around a lot in there, and I wasn't sure if that was the best situation for it to be. So I tried to do a tinier one, and then I was like, I think this is too small. So I scrapped that one and I did this version, which I think is, let me take this one out, which, yeah, is more of the right size. This version, I used some scrap yarn that I had that's like this sagey green color with like orange flecks along with the orange yarn. And I think this is just acrylic yarn that I got like a long time ago. And I also did a picot edge on this because obviously I was really loving doing it. And I didn't do an eye on this one yet. And I think I hate this one. I feel like some of you will really like it, but something about it I really don't like. So I won't be finishing this one. Whoa. I think I just really like the solid orange of this one, and I think this one would look really good with the brown and the olive green. And then I do like the idea of like a baby blue like strap tying it together, so it's like brown, olive green, baby blue, and orange. And I don't think that I like this color with it, and I really don't think I like the picot edge. So, but I think the size of this one is better. The size and the shape and the size of this, the like lip part of the fish. And for this one, I didn't seam up the side part, so if I were to add a drawstring in it, it would pull out here rather than from the inside. I don't know if that really makes sense to anybody unless you've made this before, but I think that'll work better. Still a work in progress because I want to make this right, since it's something that I'm going to be using every single day. I do think that it would be fun to come up with my own pouch and my own like little thing specifically for the dog poop bags that's not the fish, so that I could release a pattern to all you guys who have dogs out there. That is that. We'll just crank through these last things really quickly because I do have to go pick up Elmer from the sitter. But I do have a couple whips for pottery. So the first one is this mug. I think I mentioned before, but I hate making mug handles. If I went to pottery more frequently, like more days of the week, then I feel like I could practice more and do it, because you have to time the dryness of like the cup part to be able to put the handle on. And I feel like usually I don't time it right because I'm not going as frequently. So I timed this one right though somehow, and I don't know, I just feel like my handles are always really sloppy, which is why I don't do mugs very often, even though I love mugs. But I do really like how this turned out. Like the shape of the mug is like slightly curved inward in the middle, and I think the handle feels okay. It's like it's fine. So I have to glaze this still, and I'm not entirely sure yet, but might be maybe a bold solid color or something. And then I have two, like maybe were supposed to be mugs, but I didn't do the handles. So this one is just a plain like cup one, and it's pretty imperfect, but I don't really care. And then this one is wavy, which is fun. Oh, there's a crack in it. Oh, bummer. I thought I spelled my name wrong on the bottom. Okay, I didn't. We're all good. I know how to spell my name. Yeah, and then today I made two more that are like this. So maybe it'll just be like a little set of three. Also, this could be a cute vase. So those are pottery stuff. And then I pretty much talked about all my acquisitions. Are we done? I feel like thrown off because I didn't think that I was done, and now I'm done. I'm like, oh. I know that was a lot, but I feel like it always is a lot, and I think that you should just expect that from now on. So if you like a lot, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Follow me on Instagram at knitalee over there. I've been having a lot of fun posting little color palettes and just more real time of what I'm working on. So if you want to stay up to date with that, go check that out. And yeah, I feel like I have some exciting things coming up. I know I like have my like little Notion page of my YouTube video ideas, and my ideas are really long right now. So if you want to see what else I'm doing, yeah, stay tuned. I'll probably film the making of my dog walking kit soon, and I do want to do like a closet or like stash clear out and a fall planning, because I don't really know what I'm going to work on next. So let me know what you guys are working on. Not that I need more ideas for what to do, because my idea list is really long, but I'm still really curious about what you guys are working on. And any yarn recommendations too, because I don't have like a sweater quantities of anything right now. So yeah. Okay. Well, bye. Bye.